Hey everyone, welcome to the Remote State Insight podcast. I am Abhi, and today's podcast is something I've personally been very excited about. We are going to talk about how AI has completely changed the way software is built, and more importantly, how Remote State as a company has evolved with this change. And to talk about this, I am joined by our founder, Mr. Ritik sir.
Hello, hi Avi. I am equally excited as well.
So, sir, let's start from the basics before all this AI buzz started. If you compare today with 5 to 6 years ago, how different was software development back then?
So previously we had a lot of manual steps. Even like software is about automation, but we had a lot of manual steps in the sense that uh, the the product specifications. Someone would have to think about it thoroughly, write everything down, right, and then execution also. In execution, it's not just implementing the product; it's about testing, debugging. It's about making architectures around your system that gives you more visibility into your product as a as a problem which is solved, and also as a software, what parts are executing well, where are your errors happening, etc. So the delivery speed has changed from, if I look at 5 years, 6 years before, then your cost obviously, it also affected your team size. So your cost and the timeline, your cost has decreased by a lot for the same thing. And basically what used to happen and still happens is, you have an idea, you do some sort of POC MVP for some early users, you introduce your product to the market, you see how your users are reacting, behaving, and based on that you pivot your product towards the actual V1 or the final version. That used to take a lot of time because of this whole process. But since this process takes a lot lesser time, you can experiment fast and you can pivot with more confidence towards what you should actually be building instead of what your original idea was.
So, was there a moment for you personally where you realized this is not just a trend, this is a shift?
So, see, we started adopting AI technologies very early on. Obviously, we are a software development firm, so we have to be on the edge of technology. So, we started adopting AI very early, and we would ask how to solve this problem, how to do this, how to center a div. And ChatGPT was basically Stack Overflow on asteroids. And after ChatGPT came the cursor era. The cursor era sort of showed the preview of what's possible, in the sense that for the first time you were looking at your code, you had your IDE. In the IDE itself, you gave it some prompt. Okay, I want to make this feature, make this flow, what columns do I need to change, and it will not just tell you what to do, it will also do what was needed. When I saw Claude for the first time, Claude was the thing where I was like, okay, this is now going forward, humans will do less and less of coding and more of understanding and describing the intent of what you want to do, right? But this was the first tool where I realized that I don't need to be the master of this tool, I need to be friends with it. So we need to understand each other. I need to know how it thinks, what it does, and the more and more time I spent within Claude, within my CLI, uh, like in a week, I was convinced that software development has changed for forever the way we knew it.
So, sir, today it's less about writing codes and more about guiding the systems.
Yes, it is. It is more about direction than execution, and especially in software development, there are a lot of repetitive work involved, right? So we like, in our space we call it monkey work. So all the monkey work now AI does for you way faster, way better. So you don't have to do any repetitive work. You have to give it direction, but it's also there with you to negotiate, understand, and help you decide what approach, what tech stack, what implementation plan for a specific problem with its pros and cons.
So, let's talk about remote state. A lot of companies using AI, but we position ourselves as a AI first. So, how did that shift actually happen internally?
So as I mentioned earlier, we our goal is always to be on the like edge of technology. So we recognize the impact AI is going to have very early on. It was a conscious decision that we made, and since we made that decision, we invested heavily in learning, in adoption, and like in general how this is going to change the way we work. So for remote state, that shift was planned, it was conscious, it was not a reaction like most companies I see are doing.
So, sir, what changed at the team level?
So this was actually one of the biggest problems that we solved as a company, and it was a very challenging one. I will tell you how, because we, our job is not to make good software. Our job is to make a team or help individuals understand how software development is done and how they can make the best software out there, right? So with AI, we had challenges on different levels, in the sense that for senior developers, architects, it was relatively easier because they already had the knowledge, they knew what to negotiate on and how to negotiate with a system that is talking about and a software problem. But the main challenge happened at junior and freshers levels, in the sense that if you give a fresher AI tools while they are in training, then they would never be able to learn what we learned in our time. And since they would never be able to learn that, they would not know the difference between right and wrong. And it's not always right and wrong, most times it's this right or that right. So it depends on what your problem statement is.
Which one is best?
Like what things you are okay to compromise on versus what things takes priority, right? So yeah, like the freshers level was the toughest level to crack, how to introduce AI there in a safe, planned way. As we level up, it was relatively easier to adopt.
And sir, what about the way we build the product?
The process remains more or less the same. It's just that the process is followed better than it was being followed before, because we mostly works with startups, right? So execution speed is a challenge there, and like we all have learned about theories of software development, life cycle models, etc., etc. Again, you had to choose, since the time was limited and it was consumed in execution, you had to choose between things. Some things you had to bypass, the things that needs human friction. But now that AI is helping us a lot with the execution part, we can focus more on the human friction side, which actually brings out better quality products, focusing more on the software development lifecycle side of things. Test driven development is another concept that we were taught from the start, to that this is how you build concrete systems. But most startups, 95% plus startups, either do not have tests or they only have tests for critical paths. With AI, how we do it, we write extensive tests first and then we iterate on the execution, making sure that the test suits are passing. Like it's in a brief. Yeah, this is like, it has changed the way we build software, in the sense that we are more methodological behind it, since we have more bandwidth to spend on the human side of the loop, less on the monkey work.
So, sir, from the client perspective, what's the biggest difference today?
Faster delivery cycles, better quality outputs. Obviously, cost efficiency is one of that. Then you have really scalable systems with linear teams, which were hard to do before. So faster delivery cycles, that's a big win. Better quality outputs. You can have really scalable systems with a much linear team that you would have before. And it's not just in the software development side, but also the product as a process. For example, one of the things that we did, we are in, like, time zone is a big issue, right? We are in India, most of our clients sit in the US. We ensure that we have overlapping time, but still sometimes what happens ki, say, I would give you a real example. We have a sports client. He's in sports domain. He's an active player. So he does not have much time in his mornings because he is out in the field, and he is non-technical as well, right? But he knows ki what he needs from the product. So what used to happen before, ki he would tell us in Slack ki this is a feature, let's say he wants. Maybe that the person who is project manager or the team lead who is going to develop that feature does not cannot think about all of the pros, cons, edge cases at the time. So they would send him a reply, okay, what happens in this case? How does operations handle this case? What changes in admin here, for example? And again, the same client would reply the next day. So there was a turnaround time lag, which was causing velocity break, sort of, right? So and this has nothing to do with software development. It's more like the process of how we interact with the client. So what we did is we have a channel in Slack, feature requests. Client gives their in natural language, gives their requirement, what they want. We have an OpenClaw instance running somewhere. OpenClaw sees client's requirements. It has access to the code. It reads the code. It now has sort of a full picture end to end, what needs to be done. If there are any questions, or if there are any edge cases, it can reply within minutes. Okay, if you are thinking about building this feature, it might break the operations flow here, or what happens when the user does this and admin has to do some action, etc., etc. And client can go back and forth with it in natural language. Once our OpenClaw knows every details, what it would do is it would create a detailed spec, technical spec of the feature request, and it would create a issue on the project's GitHub. OpenClaw knows what tech, like where does the tech stack breaks in this future, in the sense ki what is the server side of work, what is the mobile side of work. It knows who works on server, who works on mobile, so it can assign people. And not just that, it can also analyze the complexity of tasks that needs to be done, and it can assign to senior developers, architects likewise. In like rarely, I would say 1 out of 100 issues we get where the developer wakes up in the morning, comes to the office, sees issues assigned to them, and they still have a question remaining that they need to ask to the client. It helped us cut down that time zone issue and the lag between the communication. So it's not just, when you talk about implementing AI systems, it's not just about what you can do in software development. It's about what things you can automate, and like where you can put more and more optimization.
So it's not just faster, but it's fundamentally more efficient. So if I'm a founder, why should I work with RemoteState instead of building my own AI capabilities internally?
So AI talent is expensive to build and hence rare to find. Training and hiring has always been a challenge, and I I believe founders should spend their time solving the problems that they are actually solving with their business. How to manage AI side of things, development side of things, this is a problem that we have taken upon as a company, and we are constantly making the solution more efficient. This is a thing that we do full time. We are the experts here, so I would say one should let us handle this side of things, and the founder should rather focus on their own product. AI also introduces more risk and their predictability issues, so we are here to manage the risk. We are here to ensure that you get more predictable outputs.
So let's talk about the other side. AI sounds great, but where are the companies getting it wrong?
I would say overusing without strategy, blindly trusting what it outputs, and in general, lack of the whole ecosystem understanding. So, unless you understand what it does, how it does it, you would never be able to fully utilize it. So, I think companies should invest around more around the structures as an organization, as a processes. How do we make sure that AI things have a smaller blast radius, and how can we make it more secure and compliance? Companies should invest more into how it does what it does, so they have a better understanding, and also in systems that help them get better quality outputs in a secure fashion. This is where companies are getting it wrong.
So speed without control can actually backfire.
Yes, definitely. Think of it like an automated car. Like previously used to have the pedal brake and the handbrake because a human was driving the thing. But if autonomous system is going to drive the car, you would want to make sure it has a lidar system, it has collision detection. So you have to introduce systems properly in a place that reduces risk and helps you deliver products in a more reliable fashion.
And sir, how do we handle that in remote state?
So we are not targeting a lot of companies I see are targeting towards how we can replace humans. We are rather targeting towards what is a better place for a human in the loop. Human in the loop where human friction is required, and you have to recognize this is the place where friction is required. Then you would have automated checks, test cases, code formatting, linting, proper CI/CD in places.
So looking ahead, where do you see this going in the next few years?
I would say multi-agentic systems, more automations with AI handling larger part of the product development as a whole, not just the software development part. Human role, recognizing where human role is required in oversight, recognizing the places where human friction is required, and making sure that the system performs with human and AI collaboration rather than a competition.
So, sir, do you think we will reach at a point where AI will build everything?
The rate of change of this technology is such high that it's very hard to predict what is going to happen. But I don't see a future yet where humans are not required at all. Maybe a place where two are required instead of 20, and we would have more industries which we cannot think of today where the other 18 or 16 or 10 are employed.
All right, sir. Last question, a last piece of advice to founders or CTOs who are listening to this podcast.
I would strongly suggest to start adopting AI, not to wait for trends or perfection, and not to aim towards how we can replace humans with AI or replace a system with AI entirely. Instead, focusing on how we can leverage the power that AI gives us, and obviously, like partnering with experienced teams who have already done it will be helpful.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks a lot, Ritik. This was really insightful. And for everyone listening, if you are looking to build faster with AI powered teams, do check out RemoteState. We will see you in the next episode.